And how are you today? You can
Go on your camera.
see right at the moment.
On my what?
I don't see.
Or something.
Not for what?
I don't have the Wi-Fi. I don't want to use. Okay.
You
go
hear
for it.
that, Jeff come in? And I got something to say, but it was.
Cord left on it, so it shouldn't.
We can put it over the top of the
What
table.
I think we were planning on doing is
That's the microphone, so I should stand more towards that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming today. My name is Michelle Geiger. I'm one of the dietitians, actually the newest addition to the team at Curry and Pitt Weight Loss. I've been here for 3 months, so I'm not seasoned yet, but I'm learning. I'm learning the ropes. So tonight I am doing the support group, and I looked back at some of the support groups that had been done in the past, and not really anything had been done for a while with food, so I thought it would be kind of a great place to start. And I know that, we're all concerned about what we eat and eating better on our journey through this situation, through the bariatric program. So, and what I'm going to start with is I went around to several stores and tried to identify some new products that were on the market. So I'm going to start with like beverages, new beverages. A few things I found in the snack area, I have to say, that's probably the area that had the most change, because Americans are very interested in snacks and snacking and making their snacks healthier, actually. It's growing very, very large, the snack food market, the healthy snack food market. So I wanted to look at some of those products too for you. At the end, we'll get a chance to sample everything. So for now, I'll just kind of talk to you a little bit about it. And if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to ask me at any time. Okay. One of the things I started with, just because I know that when everybody's going through getting ready for surgery or any type of weight loss, they're always looking for drinks or beverages that are lower in calories or higher in protein. And also people often seem to be looking for alternatives to milk. Maybe they're allergic to milk, maybe they're lactose intolerant. So oftentimes, I was kind of trying to find some of those products that were out there. Found quite a few. Couldn't buy everything, so I thought I'd start with the most interesting. Since a lot of my patients are fans of Crystal Light, I thought it'd be neat for you all to try tonight a new product from Crystal Light. It's their grape Kool-Aid. So these are packets that you mix in there to make a quart or a quart size. And it's grape flavored. It's very, very good. So that would be something to try. They have these in many other flavors too. This is the newest edition, is the grape flavored. Crystal Light also comes in little individual packets that you can add to a 16-ounce water if you're trying to increase your fluid intake. They don't have those in grape at this point, so I thought, well, this would be great to try. So that would be something to try out. In terms of trying to find a high protein drink, we have, of course, our Fast Track supplements, and there's a lot of different supplements that are in the market that are high protein and lower carbohydrate that are excellent to use. A lot of people use them as meal replacements, especially a breakfast meal. That seems to be the most popular, or a mid-afternoon snack in between lunch and dinner to kind of prevent when you go home that overeating that you might do because you're starved. A mid-afternoon snack. The one I brought today is a product called Undri, and this is the strawberry sorbet. Comes like this. It's an Undri. It's a medical high whey protein medical drink, and it's very, very high in protein, very low in carbohydrate. Has kind of a nice flavor. It's sweet, but it's got a little bit of a tang to it, which is a little bit different than some of the other supplements. So that would be great for you to try. So it's it's a protein drink, basically. So we want to make sure you get a chance to try that today too. And then I brought almond milk. And this is Almond Breeze by Blue Diamond. So there's a lot of them out there. Silk makes an almond milk. Kroger makes an almond milk. Meyer makes an almond milk. So there's a lot of almond milk out there. The nice thing about it is it usually has a good amount of calcium, just like milk does. And it's fortified with that. And it's also almond milk's not as good of a source of protein as soy milk, but there is some protein in it, but it's usually low calories. This one, for instance, is 30 calories, and it has, I'll need the glasses for that. It has 1 gram of carbohydrate per cup, and it has 2 grams of protein. So it's got a little bit, it's low carbohydrate, so it's a nice alternative beverage to drink. Have you guys tried almond milk before? Yes, everybody has. Yeah. Now, willing to try? Yeah. Okay. So that's here too. I also brought, just because I think these are kind of fun, coffee syrup. This is what you use to sweeten coffee. This is sugar-free vanilla flavor, and you can put it in the almond milk to give it a little bit more sweetness because this is an unsweetened one. So some people, that's fine if you want it unsweetened. It has a vanilla flavor to it, but it's not sweeter. If you want a little sweetening, that's something that you can add to it. And this is Torriani, and they make about 15 to 20 different syrups that are flavored that are sugar-free. They make about 50 syrups regularly, but about 15 to 20 that are sugar-free. You can get this for sure at Jungle Gyms in a wide variety of flavors. Other stores might only have the sugar-free vanilla or the sugar-free hazelnut, but they have things like sugar-free coconut, mango, lot of variety. Great thing to add to lots of different stuff, coffee, tea, as well as something like a milk beverage. So we'll have you try those. Does anybody have any questions about other beverages maybe that they've tried that are new, something you want to share with the group? Has anybody, other beverages that are new on the market? Has anybody tried Fairlife milk? Has anybody heard of that? Did you try it?
I tried it.
What did you think?
In a shake, it was good.
Okay.
The smell, I didn't have the smell.
So what was, you could smell, like, do you think it was like the protein in it? Because it is a higher protein milk. Regular milk has a good amount of protein, and the Fairlife milk has about 1.5 times the protein of it, and it's lower in carbohydrate. A lot of patients are telling me they really like the chocolate. It's a little heftier in carbohydrate, but still a good choice. So that's something. I didn't get that one because it was really, really new, and I hadn't tried it myself. I knew that the almond milk was a nice choice, but that's a new beverage that's out in the market too. Okay. All right. Next, let's look at something maybe for breakfast. And what's interesting about this is one of the handouts you guys have. I think it's the low carb cheat sheet. What that is, that handout is kind of the other dietitians have gone to the store over the years, and as things have changed, and they've made up a list of foods that you can get that are lower in carbohydrate in different categories. Maybe it's breads and cereals and main meals, just kind of different foods. And one of the ones that's on here is under granola, and it's this McCabe's granola, which is a local product actually. It's made in this area, and this can be found at Jungle Gyms. I believe I got this at Kroger. So, but when I was looking, they had said it was only at Jungle Gyms, so I was kind of surprised. So the McCabe's granola, and there's lots of different flavors. This one is the peanut butter PB chocolate. So if you're eating peanut butter, this would not be for you to avoid. It's very chunky. It's very high fiber, so the net carbs are lowered because when you have fiber, you can subtract the fiber from the total carbohydrate to get your net carbs. It's chunky. It's got nuts, and it looks like it's got some pepitos in it. A little bit of chocolate, so that'll be a nice granola to try. Something that, a lot of people say, well, I don't eat granola because it's so high carbohydrate. And this one's pretty nice for as far as a granola goes. For 1/4 cup, it has 10 net carbs. So that's not bad. A 1/4 cup's not a lot, but it's an amount that you could sprinkle over yogurt or put on some cereal or, take and put into a small snack baggie, taking for a snack, something along those lines. So that's a granola. It's all natural, of course, and that's one of the reasons I think it's on our list. It's gluten-free, which is kind of a nice additive there for that. And we have a lot of people who are gluten-free in our program, so that's kind of a nice touch with that. So we'll want you to try that sample. And there was just, like I said, there were so many granolas, and there were so many granola bars, it was hard to choose. I tried to find something that was kind of unique in that it was local and that, it had kind of a different flavor than some of the other granolas, so give that a try. And then moving down to snack foods. This is, as I said, there was so many snack foods that were in the store. I was just going back and forth and reading labels and getting all excited about different things. Probably the one that I was most fascinated with was these Terra chips. So this is what they look like. Take this little spoon right here. They're multicolored vegetable chips. Okay, and I am making a veggie dip today that we're going to use for raw vegetables, and you can use it for these too if you want to. So it'd be like but these are chips. And the interesting thing about them, the vegetables that are used are kind of unique. Parsnip, taro, sweet potato, and this is the bag that it looks like. And apparently there's lots of different flavors. I think there was a garlic I saw, but I just chose as plain as I could get. There was also like a chili flavored one that was spicy. This is made with sweet potato, yucca, batata, and I'm sorry, I don't know what batata is. These are mostly root vegetables, though. Parsnip. So they're kind of interesting. The colors, it's really pretty, and they taste pretty good. So they're kind of interesting. Nutrition information on them is they have some fiber in them. So for 14 chips, they're 14 grams of carbohydrate. So much lower than a regular potato chip is. Plus, you're getting some nutrition. Some antioxidants with all that color that's in there too. And they're crispy. So they're crispy, you're going to chew them. And that's what we want you to do, especially after surgeries, be chewing a lot to help slow down your eating. So those are kind of a nice chip for you to try. This one These are, this is not actually on your list. The one that's on your list is also good. I think they're called Good Sticks, but they're very, very similar to that. I went to several stores and I couldn't find them, but they just were out of stock. So I think they're listed over here. Let me see where under your list where they're at. They're in here. Snacks. So they're under the sensible portions. Veggie straws, potato straws, apple cinnamon straws. So they're similar to that. They're just a different name. So they're not the sensible portions, but I looked at the nutritionals and they were, online and compared them, and they were really simple. So these are vegetable sticks, 50% less fat than potato chips. This is a sea salt flavor. Again, I went kind of plain and boring just because I wanted to make sure we didn't get anybody too spiced out here. And these are, they're 18 grams of carbohydrates, so higher than our taro chips, but a serving is 80 sticks. So you could have 10 sticks and it would be, an eighth of this. So they're very low carbohydrate. I'm not sure why they made the serving size so large. 80's a lot to eat. I guess they had to go by an ounce. So an ounce of them would be about 80. So they're very low carbohydrate actually, because most people are not going to eat 80 in one sitting. So, and these are what they look like. They're multicolored, different vegetables, spinach, red pepper. So they're a nice little stick that you can just, put in a bowl, and they're crunchy and crispy. Again, trying to get you to chew. That's a good thing. And you can come up and look at them if you need to. They look almost like little fries. Real light and airy fries. Okay. So I'll give you a chance to try those. And again, they have other flavors. Just wait for the plain this time. The other one I want, and there's a lot of varieties of popcorn. This one is Skinny Pop. There's a new one out called Smart Pop Light also, which is wonderful. It comes in salt, sea salt, and also in white cheddar. This also came in, this is white cheddar today I was thinking I did sea salt. This is a white cheddar blend, okay. The serving size on this is 3.5 cups, okay. And it has 13 net carbs, so there's some fiber in it. So 3.5 cups is a pretty good serving. It's something you can certainly put, it's a little bit more than what fits in a normal size Ziploc baggie, but if you use one of the quart size, it would fit in there, and that's something you could take for, to work and use as a snack. That would satisfy. It's got the crunchy, salty, and crispy kind of thing to it. Not really high in fat. The fat content on this is fairly low. It is 9 grams for 3.5 cups, so that's not too bad. Okay. So that's kind of a fun one to try too. That one smells really nice. So we'll get a chance to try that. That's for later. And a few other things I just saw in my journey at the grocery store that I thought would be fun. Everyone's always, because pasta is so very high in carbohydrate, plus it is a food that breaks down so quickly into glucose, it's something that we cut back a lot in the program, and sometimes it's not really allowed until the regular diet phase, mostly in the bariatric protocol. So I brought in a couple pastas that I saw that, are a little bit better. This is a nice one from Barilla. It's a protein plus, so they've added some protein to this. I think it's chickpeas is one of the protein sources that they've added. It has 17 grams of protein per serving versus 3 grams of protein. So when you eat this, although you'll be getting some carbohydrate, you can be assured with that much protein in it, it's going to sit in your belly a little longer, so it's not going to empty quickly. It's not going to raise your blood sugar as quickly, and so it'll be something that will stay with you a little longer. The other nice thing is it's kind of more like regular colored pasta. It's yellow, but it's not like the whole wheat pasta. I know oftentimes, especially children, don't want to eat it because they're like, why am I getting the brown pasta? They don't like the look of it, So this, I've tried it before in several dishes. It's wonderful. If you cook it al dente, which is just about 8 to 10 minutes, it's really nice, and you have to chew it a little more because of the protein. So that's kind of a nice thing about it. And they make it, I think, in spaghetti. Then they have a thinner spaghetti, and then they make it in some noodle forms too with that. So I think it's a penne, which is a little pasta with edges. The nutrition information on this is, and I need my glasses again. Okay. So this is for 2 ounces, which is about 1/7 of the box. It's a pretty good pasta portion. 1 ounce is absolutely plenty, if you ask me. This has 38 grams of carbohydrate, which is pretty normal for pasta, and 4 grams of fiber, so it really has 34 net carbs. So the carbs are still pretty high, but that's a 2 ounce portion. I'd say probably about a third of a cup or a half a cup would be a 1 ounce portion. So you'd probably be about 15 grams of carbohydrate, but you're getting a good amount of protein. In half of a portion, you'd be getting 8 grams of protein, much more so than most regular pasta has. So that's a nice product. And this one is by Creamet. It's Creamet 150. It's about 25% fewer calories. The nice thing about this is that they've added fiber to it. So it's got a very high fiber content. Fiber, like protein, will sit in your stomach a little bit longer, so it doesn't empty as quickly, therefore giving you more of a full sensation. And this one has 13 grams of fiber, and this is about 3/4 of a cup dry, which is 2 ounces, just like the other one. 42 grams of carbohydrate, but 13 grams of fiber, so you subtract, that would be 29. So a lot less when you subtract the dietary fiber from it. And a lot more filling. So if you're going to have pasta, this would be something to use or to try out. I've tried both of these. I like them both very, very much. They're kid-friendly, meaning my children didn't notice anything and didn't say anything after I made it. But I didn't tell them I was doing anything special, and they still ate just like they normally did because I was watching them and waiting to see if they made a comment about it's too chewy or it doesn't taste good, and there was no comments that way. So, or from my husband for that matter. So, because he oftentimes notices when I'm trying to sneak something in that's a little bit healthier. So those are just some of the new products. I also brought a sweetener. I don't know how familiar everybody's with Splenda brown sugar. Couple nods here. Has anybody else tried this before, used it? It's really a great product. It is very soft. You know, it's got about half the sugar of regular brown sugar, and you need just a touch of it on something, and it has such a good flavor. So if you're making oatmeal, serving of oatmeal, you could literally put like 1/4 of a teaspoon of it, and it will change your oatmeal. So it has a nice sweet flavor, adds nice color. It's a great, great product. You can use it in baking too, but I think it's really, really wonderful in cereals and different things like that too. I've used it in baking
Where did you buy that?
everywhere.
Okay.
This is readily available. I got this one at Kroger, but Meijer has it. Everybody has it. It's actually so popular that a lot of times they're out of stock. But this looks like it's not very much. It lasts forever. I've had to throw it away when the use-by date is done, and I'm like, I don't really want to throw this away. But I've had it that long, and I can't believe that I've had it that long, because I don't really bake with that much. I'm trying not to make too many cookies and things like that. But I have baked once before using half and half, and they turned out pretty good. The cookies were a little more airy, but they still were good, when I used them in the recipe. Just not making too many cookies these days. So that's Splenda brown sugar from the makers of Splenda. So, all right, so those are some of our snack foods. I do want you to look at, on the handout that you have, the low-carb cheat sheet. There's just a lot of different things, and all of us dietitians have selected or tried one of these products. Not every single one, but one of us has if it's on this list. Okay, it means that we've deemed it acceptable, it's a good flavor, it's a nice product. One of my favorites is under the cracker category is these Crunchmaster crackers. They are wonderful. They are so crunchy and so good. And you can find those in Kroger. I don't know that I've seen them in Meijer. Jungle Jim's have them. They come in sea salt, white cheddar. There's a lot of flavors to them. They're just really crunchy. And the portion size is very large for the amount, just like it's not 6 crackers, which is the usual portion size. It's like 14. So then when you have 6 of them, you're getting half the carbohydrate, which is really nice. So those are nice crackers too. Today under the tortillas, when we do our little vegetable skewers, you're going to sample the Tamara brand of tortillas. They're incredibly soft. They're a low-carb tortilla. So we're going to sample that next and go to that and try that out for you. And then some of the snacks, I think the one I wanted to really bring and I couldn't find was the Wisps. These are kind of a new thing too. Parmesan. A lot of people are taking Parmesan cheese and crisping it and putting, and you can do this at home too, but it's taking fresh Parmesan cheese and putting it on a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper and cooking it at 400 degrees for 10 or 15 minutes. But these are snacks that are readily available that are Parmesan crisp. So those are kind of nice too. So that's something to think about. And then, of course, the Carbmaster milk is down there at the bottom. It's kind of a new product. The Almond Breeze, and they were probably both kind of introduced around the same time. So has anybody in here tried the Carbmaster milk? It's a lower carbohydrate milk. It's exclusively made by Kroger, and most patients who've tried it really love it. So that's a thought too. If you're a milk drinker and you want to cut back on your carbohydrate, that would be a great product for you too. Any questions about snack foods or thoughts or anything you've tried yourselves? Yeah.
What about the pasta? What about quinoa pasta?
Quinoa would be great. Quinoa pasta is wonderful. As a matter of fact, we are going to try tonight edamame pasta. So it's along that same base. It's an alternative grain, and the quinoa is.
I made it and I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah. Okay.
And
good.
the kids did too.
Good. It's a gluten-free grain, which is really nice about it. So that's very, very nice. It's a little higher in protein than some of the other ones, so that's good. There's black bean pasta out there now. There's quinoa pasta. There's, like I said, this is the edamame. And edamame is a soybean. So it's the soybean pasta that we're going to try tonight. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And the nice thing about soybeans is they're super high in protein. The quinoa is a little higher in protein too. Not like soybeans, but still pretty close. But that's a good product too. Yeah, quinoa is kind of a new grain that everyone's talking about and using and everything, so you see it a lot out there. It's really a nice product. Anything else anybody else has tried? Okay, well, we're going to move on. I'm going to do some demonstrations, and so I'm going to move everything over this way, take the mic off so that they can hear. It's kind of nice to have it on wheels like this. Get it out of the way and we'll be able to actually see and probably can go back further. So no other snack foods that anybody else has tried that we didn't talk about, huh? Okay, this is what I'm worried about. This is hard to see. How far is it going to let me go? I might need to unplug. Oh, it's pretty good quiet. Guess I should have done this before.
It should work.
The old extension cord thing. Come on. All right. Perfect. And keep pulling if you want to. As far as you think it needs to go. I think that's good?
That should be.
Okay, great. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of a take on the usual normal ranch dip dressing mix. So this one I chose a really high quality Greek yogurt, and this is the Oikos by Dannon. So it's a Greek yogurt, and Greek yogurt is a thicker yogurt. It is high protein. Okay, this is the plain, so there's nothing added to it, so it can be very tart. Okay, so we're hoping that by the addition of what we're going to do is take a ranch mix, and I just picked one from Kroger, and we're going to mix that in, and it's going to make a very high protein vegetable dip mix. Okay, versus the traditional sour cream, which is very, very high fat. Yes?
Does it stand out the yogurt once you do it?
Does it what?
Make the yogurt thinner?
Thinner?
Does it stand out the yogurt when you put the ranch?
It actually should thicken it because this has got a little bit. It's got a little bit of starch in it. So because of that, there's some carbohydrate in it to thicken the dip mix. I usually tell people go, like this recipe, and I believe this recipe is in your low carb snack options on the back page, the one that's stapled together. So like it usually says a whole packet for 16 ounces. Well, this is 8 ounces in here. And I'm going to mix up the rest of it right now. So 16 ounces, but I'm only going to use a half a pack. I think it's just too strong, the seasoning mix in it, and I don't think you need that much. But everybody can determine for themselves. Other things you can do with this dip mix is maybe after you make it is add a little chili powder or some red cayenne pepper and make it a little spicier, And the nice thing is it's thick just like sour cream, and it should get a little bit thicker, actually, when you add this. Now, sometimes it takes up to 30 minutes to get thick for that starch to thicken it. But that's a good question. We'll have to see what happens. And I'm not really measuring it out, everybody, while we're here, but I'm just going to put about half the packet in. I don't want it to be too strong for us. And then just mixing it in. And so then this can become a dip for your vegetables. I'm using a bariatric bowl. Which helps us keep our portions down a little. Okay. So it's very nice right now. The thickness is perfect with that. It looks just like a sour cream dip, as far as that goes. So it'll remain to be seen when we taste it what we think as far as that goes. with the vegetables or with the other. I'll put it right in here, and we'll be able to sample that in a little bit. It's really nice consistency. It would be interesting to see if it breaks down over time. If it's not refrigerated, anything that's got dairy in it will break down over time. But if we refrigerate it, I think it should be okay, more or less. So that looks really pretty. You know, if you're making it, you're taking, sometimes, you know, we go to these parties and we're like, oh, I've got to take something. And this would be a great thing that you could really nibble on all night. You're nibbling on vegetables and Greek yogurt. Okay, and it's got a nice spice and seasoning to it. So that would be a really good thing to take. And I just did various vegetables, celery, cucumbers, red peppers, stuff like that. And again, I just picked Kroger ranch dip mix. You know, it doesn't really matter. It is going to be high in salt for any of you who have to worry about sodium. But again, I use half the packet, so I use even less than what was needed in this, just because I don't think we need all that seasoning. All right. Okay. So that's in your recipe there for the Greek dip mix there. What we're going to do next, and this is a take on something else that's in there called Caprice Bites. So make sure you can find that. I think it's kind of, let's find what page it is. It's called Caprice Bites, but I was doing something similar to the Caprice Bites, so I thought I'd do something more fun than that. So this is Caprice Bites. It's on the first page. So normally you put those on skewers, but I made something else on skewers, so I thought, well, I'm going to find a recipe for something that's a little different but similar to that. And you have the recipe with you. And this is the one right here. So can I grab that for a second? And it looks like this. So it's the Caprice cups. So caprese, how do you want to say? Is usually it's an Italian dish that is the combination of basil, tomato, and mozzarella. Okay. And then I found these really pretty phyllo leaves. And these are, you know, phyllo is a very thin Greek pastry. Mini phyllo shells. I found these in Kroger in the freezer section, already made up. So this could be an appetizer you quickly could make and take to a party. Gotta love it, right? So those are the phyllo leaves. I'll set that here for us to look at the end. In terms of nutrition information, 2 shells have about 4 grams of carbohydrate. That is a very low carbohydrate count, so that's really nice. So what I did is I just put a basil leaf in each one, and then what you do is you take a mozzarella ball. Just gonna wash my hands. So I was touching boxes. Okay. Up there for a second. Okay, and then we're going to put a mozzarella ball in each one. Has anybody tried mozzarella balls before? This is fresh mozzarella balls. This is Bellagozio fresh mozzarella. Now there's all these fancy names on them. I figured out there's like 4 different ones they have there. They just relate to the size of the mozzarella ball. So we have to just kind of lift it up and look at it and determine. I had to lift it and look at it and see. And there's some real little ones and some really big mozzarella balls. So I kind of picked the ones that I thought would fit in these pretty easily. And again, usually these are found in the grocery. I found these at Kroger. Jungle Jim's had them when I went there also, just in kind of the cheese section that's more gourmet down where the meat products are. At Meijer, it is near kind of in between the meat and the produce at Meijer usually. At Jungle Jim's, I found them in 2 spots. So it's more in where the gourmet cheeses are, not where you find like your sandwich cheese.
Do you remember how much they were?
Yes, these were $3.99 actually. Yeah, it's not too bad. And I think I got $1 off with my Kroger Plus card.
Okay.
So I think they were $2.99. I was kind of in shock. I looked at it and I
am
thought
too.
I should buy some more of them. So they're absolutely really, really pretty. I mean, this is a very nice little dish. You know, it's got a mozzarella ball in, and then what we do is take some grape pads. And I wanted to show you what I chose is the Nature Sweet Cherubs. Has anybody seen those in the store? Very, very good flavor. Bright color, good flavor. They're called cherubs. Expensive. So these are $4. Okay, but they're nice. I mean, if you really want to get a lot of color and have something look really pretty, they're perfect. And I know that I'm going to find them. There they are. So they just have a very, very bright red color, which is good with something like this because, you know, then you're getting, there's not a lot of color to these, and then you do that and you've got green and red. This might even be something to use around the holidays. Green and red. So just putting one of those in of each of these. And then what I'm going to do after I get these in here is I found a glaze to put on top. It's a balsamic glaze, and this is a special vinegar that it's got a very special flavor and usually a beautiful color. And so just going to drizzle that over the top of these to give it a nice look that kind of dresses it up a little bit. So these are great for parties because these can be picked up really easy by people and be just like just a popped item that you could eat. But also just really, they look pretty elegant when you make them. They look real nice. And different. Wait till we put the glaze on top. Now I'm interested to see, I was very close to making my own glaze, but these are kind of new on the market, these glazes. They're vinegars that have been reduced. They cook them down. And vinegar comes from grapes. So when they do cook them down, they're going to add a little sweetness to it. So there's a little bit of carbohydrate, but it's minimal, and we're just going to lightly put it over the top. Now my thought is, that's what I thought they'd have that in there. There we go. This one's a little deeper, a little more brown colored. Okay, let's see if this works. And all I'm doing is just taking each individual one and just kind of twirling it. And you know what? If you guys are fancier than me, you can do any type of design you wanted. I bet you could probably put a letter of somebody's name on it if it's a party for a special person.
So that would just be sweeter than just putting regular balsamic vinegar on it?
Yes, it would be a little sweeter because this is going to be cooked down, so all the moisture is taken away. It's dense. It's almost more syrupy-like. And you just use a little touch of it to get that sweetness. The difference with balsamic vinegar is it would fall down on top of the mozzarella and it wouldn't stay on top and look, I missed one, and look as pretty as this is.
What section did you find that in?
This was where the vinegars were. All the vinegars, way at the top, kind of up there. There's about 6 or 7 of them, so I was like going back and forth trying to figure out which ones to use. And
What's the brand?
this one is Fini, and this is from Medina, which is where they make the best balsamic vinegar in that region. Let's see what it says here. This is the only glaze made with 90% balsamic vinegar of Medina. So I think that's why I picked it, because I thought, well, it's more, more actual. A whole tablespoon has 4 grams of carbohydrate. So that's like a teaspoon of sugar, but that's a whole tablespoon. We're just doing like an eighth of a tablespoon, maybe. I doubt it's even that much. So it's very nice. And a lot of people use a glaze like this maybe over some plain white fish that you just gently put a real small amount on. And it's an intense flavor, so it flavors without adding fat. So it's a very nice product to use for something like that on fish. Chicken, too, you could use it on. To me, this is more of, it's going to have great flavor, but it's more of a decoration. I mean, it really makes that very pretty. It looks like a really nice appetizer. All right. So these things, I'll make sure I leave these things up here too for you to see, so you can kind of, if you want to write anything down or get the information from any of these products, you'll be able to get that from that. Okay. All right. And the basil came from my garden. So just kind of a fun tip there. All right. So another item that you have inside your handout is these are called, they're underneath the caprese bites, and they're called Greek salad bites. And I just used a skewer, like a shish kebab skewer, and just kind of snipped them in half. You can buy them at different sizes. And what it is, basically, is it's just, and I'll walk around so everybody can see, you just take a cherry tomato, and I use the cherries, and then you take a cucumber cube, a Kalamata olive, and that is a Greek olive, and I bought ones that were pitted already because I want fast. I want it to go really fast. And then cubed feta cheese. This is kind of what they look like. They're just little skewers that you can use, and people can just pick them up at a party and kind of that whole thing. These are carbohydrate-free with some protein in it from the feta. Those are real nice little snack things you can try. And see if I have the feta cheese out that I used. I'll make sure the feta cheese is out that I used so we have it. I know I have it in here somewhere. Might be sitting out. I just can't see it either. It's feta cheese usually comes in a round container similar to this cheese, but this one came in a more square container because it was a big block, so that I could slice it and skewer it. So that was a little bit different. And you can buy it in a block form. You can buy it crumbled. You can buy it in really little itty bitty pieces. So a lot of different. Feta cheese is a Greek cheese, a Middle Eastern cheese, very salty, and it gives it an intense flavor. So it goes very nicely with this. And the Kalamata olives are very, very bitter. So this might not be to everyone's liking, but it's kind of a fun, very pretty, very bright, good appetizer to serve, and very low in carbohydrate with some protein to it. And I also included, and these will be at the end for you to try, these are on your low-carb cheat sheet. These are Tumera's low-carb rolls. What did I say? Tortillas. And so these are 60 calories for one, and they are 7 grams of carbohydrate. So that's a pretty good size roll for 7 grams of carbohydrate. Let me pull one of those out. I want to put these somewhere without getting them dirty. Okay. That's a pretty good size to make a roll. 7 grams of carbohydrate. So a normal sandwich would have 30 grams of carbohydrate. This would be 7 if you made it with this. They are soft and nice. They're really nice to work with. So I just cut them up into little pieces that you could take your little skewers with and stick them in and kind of make a little folded sandwich to eat them with. Okay, just thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to do. Next, I want to show you something that I don't have a recipe for, so you might want to write it down. Just kind of a quick thing to make and throw together, and then we're going to make a pasta dish real quick too. This is something that I kind of came up with on my own. The stores are making a lot of products that are pre-packaged and quick to use. This is broccoli slaw. Has everybody seen this before? This is what they use, the bottom part of the broccoli or the stem of the broccoli. Very, very high fiber. Kind of tough to eat on its own, but when it's mixed and made correctly, it's actually pretty good. There's also coleslaw that you can get in a bag. So these are staples in my house. I make these at least once a week as a side dish with the meal because it's so fast. And there's lots of different things you can do. I'm going to make a really quick dressing, and you have the recipe for that there too to kind of show you. But this is a fairly new product. Not every store has this. Kroger makes their own. They have their Simple Truth one as well as their Fresh Selections. This one is the Fresh Selections. The Simple Truth is their organic one. And they sell like crazy. They really do. So we're just going to dump some of this in here. It's got a little bit of cabbage in it for some color, but it's and carrots too. And we're just going to put a little bit in here. We don't have a huge group, so I don't want to make a ton of it and have it go to waste. Okay, come on out. Okay, so we'll do that and give everybody a chance to try it. It really makes a nice salad. I'm going to make an Asian dressing, which goes really nice with this. And it's from Bon Appetit, and it's called Simplest Asian Dressing. So, I've got my little cruet here. Okay. And so we take a garlic clove. One thing I want to show you about the garlic clove, there's a lot of different ways that you can do garlic, and a lot of people avoid it because it's kind of a pain. You can take the skin off the clove of the garlic, and then I have a little garlic press to push it in and to use. That's always an option. But then you got to clean the garlic clove thing out, and you got to do something with the peel. Another new product I found from Private Selection was their garlic that's in water. So it's an actual garlic clove, but it's been peeled. So that's a step easier. And then to even make it a step easier is to find some garlic that is already prepared. So that's kind of an easy way to do it. I get a big one because I use a lot of it, but there are littler ones that you can too. But this is kind of nice. And they actually have different flavors. Like that's not as intense as real garlic. This is a little more intense than this, but it's still not the intensity that fresh garlic has. But it does well in a pinch when we're all in a rush and we're trying to make something. So we'll go ahead and try this out. So that's got the garlic clove in it. And then I just use just anybody's brand. This is a reduced sodium soy sauce. I just do that to try to cut back on the sodium in my family's diet. So it's not necessarily something that anyone has to do, but just kind of a nice thought. So we're going to go ahead and get this forward. So a half of a garlic clove. So I'm going to, because of time constraints, I'm just going to go with this garlic here. Okay, I think that's probably my phone. Sorry, everybody. I was bringing it in here for time to make sure that I kept on my time. All right, so that's the garlic clove. Then we're going to use a tablespoon of the reduced sodium soy sauce. This adds a lot of color to the dressing and a lot of really good flavor. Now I have my family enjoys foods that have a very, very strong vinegar taste. I'm going to follow this recipe, but normally I use more vinegar than oil, just because that's kind of how we like it at home, but it tastes fine like this too. And then 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. So in that same vinegar aisle that we can find that balsamic glaze, you can find rice vinegar, or you can find it in the Asian section of a grocery store. So there is so many different vinegars that are out there that have different flavors, that flavor the food in a unique way, that it's wonderful to try them and to check them out. So this one's a very mild vinegar. It's called rice vinegar. So it's got a little bit more of a mild taste. And this one is Kikkoman. It's just one of the brands that we're going to use. So 2 teaspoons of rice vinegar. So we're going to go ahead and try that. Oh, I put a little bit more in. See, I'd be putting a tablespoon easily in that, just because my family, again, is a big vinegar family. And then a 1/2 cup of olive oil, which I think that's a lot of olive oil. Okay. I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to show you that that's not all needed. So we're just going to use a 1/4 cup. Salad dressings are low in carbohydrate, but, fat calories can be a problem, too, when we're trying to lose weight. If we're a lot of times everybody's emphasizing carbohydrate, and then sometimes I'll look at patients' journals and I'll say, wow, you're eating a lot of fat. And they're like, well, it's olive oil. And I'm like, yeah, that's a very healthy fat. It's a very good fat, but fat is fattening and it has a lot of calories. So in any way that you can cut back on fat, it's going to also help you in your journey. Okay, fat is just the highest calorie food that we have. All right, so we also have in here a 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil. Where's my sesame oil? Oh, no. I knew there would be something that I don't have. I didn't bring it. It's got to be somewhere in this building. Anyway, that's the one I wanted to show you. I know I have it somewhere. Okay. Well, we may have to come back to that when everybody's sampling. We'll mix that in. So this calls for an oil called sesame oil, which would be found with all the oils or in the Asian section. It's a darker oil. Sesame oil is really nice, and it has an intense flavor, a very strong flavor. So you don't need very much to give it a lot of good taste and flavor. So this only calls for a 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil, and it gives an amazing flavor to it. We might not be able to test that tonight if I can't find it, but that's the dressing more or less. And then kosher salt and fresh ground pepper. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that in here for us to try too. Okay. And we'll go ahead and we'll just keep this here, and at the end I'll mix it up and put it on the salad for you. But I'm going to try to sneak back in and see if it's not in my office too before we actually try it. Okay? But it's kind of this is the dressing, so it's got a great color to it. It's dark. You won't really see that on the salad, but it'll coat it real nice, and it'll have a nice flavor with the vinegar and the salty soy taste. It has a really good flavor. And then I brought some toasted sesame seeds to put on the top to add a little crunch to it. So those are kind of nice too. And I'm going to sprinkle those on right now and there's just something to kind of add a little flavor. Another thing you could do is you could put almonds in it. Just some of the chopped almonds to kind of give it a crunch as well as some more protein in it. So any of those things that you could do with that too. Okay. So it says whisk it here. I just am using a little blender. So that's that there. Okay, and we'll get to try that later. Hopefully when I find the other sesame oil ingredient.
Sesame oil too is very expensive.
It is very expensive.
You only use a tiny bit. So.
A tiny. Yeah, so it lasts a long time. The thing is, if you're gonna buy some and you get a small container, then I would just put it in the refrigerator because then the oil won't go rancid. And it's usually you can just buy a smaller container, and this you're only using very little, but it has such a great flavor. Again, another good seasoning for fish is a little bit of sesame oil. It makes a nice product. Okay, so I'm going to move some of this stuff over. Anybody have any questions about anything yet that I'm doing? Or I might need some of these measurements later. very surprised I don't have my sesame oil with me. All right. No questions or anything they've tried? Okay. We are going to look at our main entree for tonight that we're going to try. This is using this product, which is an edamame and mung bean fettuccine. Okay. I found this at Jungle Jim's. Whole Foods also has it, and so does Sam's and Costco. So this is a fettuccine, and I'm going to pass it around so you can all kind of look at it and read the label on it and see what it is. It cooks up pretty nice. I really wanted to serve it very, very warm, but I was worried about being in a building that has like those sprinkler heads in it, and I thought that'd be a bad surprise for us if we somehow the steam got up there and it caused it to. So I warmed it up, but this is kind of what it looks like when it's cooked. So it's a fettuccine. Looks pretty similar to the color of other fettuccine, a teeny bit of green to it. So we're going to put a green dressing on it so that, it doesn't make it seem like it's, too unusual. And this is a food processor. This recipe you guys also have over there. I need to grab it. So I know what I'm doing. And the nutritionals are on the back of the recipe, but it's a 15-minute edamame spaghetti with avocado pesto. So the pasta only took me 7 minutes to make. It was easy. I just threw it in boiling water. I didn't add anything to it. I didn't need to add salt or fat. It didn't stick very much either. I just rinsed it off in cold water when I was done with it and put it in the refrigerator. Okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put all these ingredients in a food processor that are listed here. This is my handy-dandy food processor from home. So a large avocado, a cup of baby spinach. I'll do the baby spinach first. Sometimes avocados don't really peel all that easy. We're going to see what happens. So a cup of packed baby spinach. I measured this at home. So we're just going to put that in there. And I just got a bag of baby spinach. I took the ends of the stems off just because I'm always worried with band patients and sleeve patients. I don't want anything to kind of get caught up in their throat. So I took the ends, the stems off. That's up to you. I don't know that you have to do that. I just was trying to be careful. So, okay, and then a quarter cup of cilantro, yet again, from my garden. I just diced it up. Cilantro is a strong seasoning. So hopefully this is going to, I tossed and turned about whether I should just substitute it for basil or not, but I decided to go with the recipe. I read a few reviews and they were pretty good, so I thought, well, I'm going to go for it. And we'll try it. 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. I just squeezed a lemon. We're going to have just a touch of this one there. Let's hope that's okay. 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. No reason you can't use a reconstituted lemon juice just to make it quick and fast for yourself, but this is just, I have a lot of lemons in the house, so I just thought I'd try that. A tablespoon of olive oil. Olive oil has got a little bit of saturated fat in it, which makes it kind of, it hardens a little bit, so sometimes it's nice in sauces and pestos because it makes them not liquidy, but more, when you refrigerate them, solidify a little bit, so that's kind of a nice feature of it too. And then a garlic clove. Okay, and with this one, everybody, I am going to go ahead and do the real thing. Put the more strong one in. Nothing like going home after this and having some garlic on your breath, right? This is an avocado knife that we're going to use too. So I'm just going to break the clove open by smashing it a little bit this way, the knife. And that easily just kind of takes off that cover of the garlic clove. Okay. And then I'm going to put it in my press. I could put it in here, but I want to make sure that it's broken down. I don't want anybody to bite into a really big piece of garlic. And then the garlic press, I'm going to just take it down like that. So that's your garlic clove that's added in there. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And since I unfortunately have a grinder and I can't really measure, I'm just going to do the old guesstimate. So if it's not too salty, okay, so I think that's probably pretty close to it. Okay, avocado time. So I'm just going to take an avocado, and this is, I got one that's kind of soft because we're going to try to blenderize it. I didn't want it to get into chunks. So to do this, I'm just going to take the top part of the avocado off. Let's see. And I'm going to use my avocado. This is a tool. Pampered Chef, I believe.
Never seen one.
Mm-hmm. When my sister does it, she does it much better than me. See, I do those kind of things. She doesn't do that. She goes around the absolute whole thing because she makes avocados all the time and gets the whole thing just kind of peeled off perfectly. She also has a handy-dandy way of twisting the avocado off of its pit. I'm not as good at that either. There you go. Fix those in there. That's pretty quick and easy. A little bit messy, but I'm just going to chop it up here and put this in. Get as much of this off as I can and just put it inside here. They're messy. You know, there's not a lot we can do about that. I might just cut it into. So this is green. This is very green. It does say in the recipe to top it with pomegranate seeds to give it some other color. It's not seasonal now. So I just brought some dried cherries just to put on top to kind of make it have that nicer color versus the green. Let's see what you think about that. Just take a minute to clean up the beans. Messy avocados. Probably better to use the towel. Great. Let's see what we need. That's an optional garnish anyway, so got everything in there, I think. Okay, great. Let's see what happens when we take the old food processor to it and blend it up. It's like a pesto sauce. Avocado pesto. It's looking pretty good. I'm just going to stir the sides down once a few things are sitting on the outside of it. And then it just comes up looking really, really smooth. Soft, and I'm just going to toss the noodles with that. Now, if they were much warmer than they are right now, probably would toss up a little bit better. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, and we'll try it out. And I also brought, just because, this could be something you could make as a main dish. The pasta has a lot of protein in it already. You could always add chicken. Another thing that you could do is in this salad, this is another thing I do when I want to make it a full meal, is my Asian chicken. I put chicken in it, and then it's a full meal versus just a side dish. So I just brought some chicken, that we could use to, and all I did was just boil it. Pretty plain, easy, simple. Didn't want to make everything really fancy. So what we did, let's try this out and see what we think. Then we can get everything set up. Anybody have any questions about anything? Yeah. It looks very different. It's very bright green. I'm thinking they would not choose a green sauce with a green pasta, but we'll toss that together. Let's see how it goes. And again, as you warm it up, it depends on what you want to do. To me, this would probably be, avocados are great cold, so it would be a cold salad. That would be great. But of course, it would probably mix in because there's some oil in there. If you warmed it up, it would be an easier, smoother mix, when you're going through. I'm just some dried cherries. These are Mariani. Just to kind of add a little bit of color to the dish. Pretty nice and red on it. Just found those by the dried fruit section, just to add a little color. And certainly you could also, another thing, you could just throw some almonds or nuts on it too, if you wanted to. Something like that. That's very pretty. Get another. This might have been a holiday kind of a theme with the red and the. I didn't intend for it to be. So that's mostly everything tonight that we tried and sampled. Does anybody see anything they have any other questions about, or no?
How many carbohydrates is the
The edamame. If you look on the back, just the product, or the just the product. It is. Oh, shoot, I got it on my face here. I've got avocado face right now. Can you see it? 19 grams, you said carbohydrate or protein?
Carbohydrate.
It's 19 grams of carbohydrate with 10 grams of dietary fiber, so it's 9 net carbs. So much, much lower of any of the pastas that we've seen. I had avocado on my face, I apologize. So that makes it a really nice product. So it'll be interesting to see what it tastes like. Okay, so what we can do is, I think we should sample everything, so I'm going to try to figure out what the best way is to do this. How are we doing on time?
An hour. Well, it's 7:34.
Okay, so I went over. You guys are a great audience. Okay, so we can go ahead and give it a try, and anybody else have any other questions before we sign off, and then we can just come up and sample? All right, thanks for joining me, everybody.